The 50-30-20 rule is one of the most recommended budgeting methods in the world. There's just one problem. For a huge number of people, the numbers simply don't add up. And when nobody explains why, you assume the system failed, when really, you were applying it exactly the way most people get wrong. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what each part of the 50-30-20 rule actually means, how to apply it to your real paycheck, even if rent alone eats half your income, and how to tell the difference between a need and a want without lying to yourself. And near the end, I'll show you the one adjustment that both high earners and low earners need to make, that almost nobody explains correctly. This rule has been recommended by financial experts for almost 2 decades, and it still shows up in nearly every beginner finance video you'll find. But it was built around an average cost of living from years ago. Rent, groceries, and insurance have all moved since then. In a lot of cities, faster than income has. So if you've tried to use this rule exactly as written and felt like it just doesn't fit your life, you're not doing something wrong. You're missing the adjustments nobody bothers to mention. Let's start with what the rule actually says, because most people only remember the numbers, not the definitions. 50% goes to needs. That means rent or mortgage, groceries, utilities, insurance, minimum debt payments, transportation to get to work. 30% goes to wants. That's eating out, streaming services, hobbies, that daily coffee, anything that makes life enjoyable but wouldn't stop you from functioning if it disappeared tomorrow. 20% goes to savings and extra debt payoff, anything building your future instead of paying for your present. Here's where it gets real. Say you take home $3,000 a month. That's $1,500 for needs, $900 for wants, and $600 for savings. Simple on paper. But here's the question that trips almost everyone up. Is your gym membership a need or a want? Is your phone plan a need or a want? Most people put these in the wrong bucket without even noticing, and that one mistake quietly breaks the entire system before it even starts. Same goes for a car payment. The base cost of getting to work might genuinely be a need, but the extra you're paying every month for a nicer trim, a bigger engine, features you never use, that portion is a want, even though the whole bill lands in one category on paper. So here's a filter question that fixes it instantly. Ask yourself this: if your income dropped by 40% overnight, would this expense survive? Your phone plan? Probably yes, in some cheaper form, because you need to be reachable for work. Your gym membership? For most people, no, because you could work out for free at home. That single question separates real needs from wants, disguised as needs. This matters because the moment you start labeling wants as needs, just to make the math feel comfortable, the 50-30-20 split stops meaning anything. It becomes a number you write down instead of a system you actually follow. And this is exactly where the rule quietly falls apart for one specific group of people: anyone living somewhere expensive. If you live in a major city, rent alone can eat 40, 50, even 60% of your paycheck before you've bought a single groceries item. Take someone renting a one-bedroom for $1,800 a month on a $3,200 take-home paycheck. Needs alone already sit above 56% before groceries or a phone bill are even added in. Forcing the standard 30% want slice on top of that leaves almost nothing for savings, no matter how disciplined that person is. So here's the adjustment nobody tells beginners. The ratio isn't sacred. What matters is the relationship between the three categories, not the exact numbers. If your real needs sit at 65%, don't force a broken 50% box. Shift to something like 65-20-15 and drop wants to 15% for a season instead of pretending the standard split works when it doesn't. The goal was never to hit exactly 50, 30, and 20. The goal was to have a clear line between survival spending, enjoyment spending, and future spending, so nothing sneaks past you unnoticed. But there's one more group this rule gets wrong just as often: anyone carrying serious debt. If you're carrying high-interest debt, credit cards especially, sticking rigidly to a 20% savings slice while that debt accrues interest at 20 or 25% a year is actually working against you. Say you're carrying $6,000 in credit card debt at 24% interest. That's roughly $1,240 a year in interest alone, growing while you quietly contribute a modest 20% to a savings account earning 4 or 5%. The math only works one way here. In that situation, temporarily flip the model. Try something closer to 50-20-30, 50% needs, 20% wants, and 30% aggressively toward debt, treating that payoff like an emergency, because financially, it is one. Once the high-interest debt is gone, shift back to the standard split, or even push more toward savings if you can. Think of this as two different modes: debt elimination mode and wealth building mode. Using the exact same percentages in both situations is one of the most common reasons people feel like they're working hard and still going nowhere. Now here's a mistake that has nothing to do with your numbers and everything to do with your mindset. A lot of people track everything perfectly, discover they landed at 52% needs instead of 50, and treat that as a failure. So they abandon the entire system in month one. 2 percentage points off is not a failure. It's data. This rule isn't a test you pass or fail every month. It's a compass you check in on. If you're within about 5 percentage points of your target categories most months, that's genuinely a win, not a problem to fix immediately. Save the concern for when a category drifts by 15 or 20 points for several months in a row. That's the signal something structural actually needs to change, not just a heavier grocery week. So here's the complete picture. The 50-30-20 rule was never meant to be applied word for word, forever, by everyone. It's a starting template. Step 1. Correctly define your needs and wants using the 40% income drop test, so you're not quietly lying to yourself in the math. Step 2. Calculate your real needs percentage first, especially if you live somewhere expensive, and build your wants and savings around that real number. Step 3. If you're carrying high-interest debt, temporarily shift more toward payoff instead of forcing a standard 20% savings slice. And here's the adjustment almost nobody mentions. If you're a high earner, don't stop at 20% savings just because the rule says so. Your needs don't scale up nearly as fast as your income does, so the excess should go toward savings, not lifestyle. And if you're a low earner, don't stress over hitting the percentages perfectly. Put more energy into growing the income itself, because a small percentage of a bigger number beats a perfect percentage of a small one. None of this means throw out the rule. It means stop treating 3 numbers as more important than what they were designed to represent: control, breathing room, and a future that isn't decided by accident. Remember what we said at the start? For a huge number of people, the numbers on this rule don't add up as written. And now you know exactly why and exactly how to fix it for your real life. The rule was never broken. It just needed the adjustments nobody bothers to explain. Take